Sir Roger at Church, Joseph Addison. The Augustan age saw the rise of journalism and periodical literature. Following the periodicals, the Review of Daniel Defoe and the Examiner of Jonathan Swift, in 1709, Richard Steele brought out his Whig paper, The Tatler. Having decided to keep the politics away, Joseph Addison and Richard Steele started The Spectator in 1711. The periodical had two objects, that is, reforming of the contemporary society and presenting the true picture of the age very faithfully. Out of 555 essays, Addison wrote 274 essays. The Cowley papers were part of the Spectator and they were 35 in number. The principal instrument employed by Addison and Steele was gentle satire. They ridiculed at the eccentricities and idiosyncrasies and never abused. Their ridicule was gentle and ironical, and their humor was tolerant and gentle. Sir Roger de Coverley was one among the 5 members of the Spectator Club. He was an English squire of Queen Anne's reign. He was once a town gallant, but then a country gentleman. He was portrayed as lovable but somewhat ridiculous, making his Tory politics, and was seemingly harmless but silly. He was also said to be the grandson of the man who invented the English country dance. In the Cowley essay, Sir Roger at Church, Sir Roger has been characterized vividly. As he is a good churchman, he has beautified the inside of the church with several texts of his own choosing. He has also given a handsome pulpit cloth and railed the communion table at his own expense to attract the people to the church. Apart from supplying his parishioners common prayer books, he employed an itinerant singing master to instruct them rightly in the tunes of the psalms. As Sir Roger was landlord of the whole congregation, he had authoritative power, so he kept the people in good order and never allowed anybody to sleep in the church. If he happened to see anyone nodding at the church, he either woke them up himself or would send his servant to them. He not only encouraged people to come to church, he even appointed the clergyman for the church on his own accord and suggested them to follow the instructions of different professors for sermons. He loved not only the servants of his house but also the people who lived around them. He had the habit of asking about the condition of the people who were absent in the church. Apart from showing his concern of the absentees, it was also to be understood as a secret reprimand to those who were absent. There was a fair understanding between Sir Roger and his chaplain. But the very next village was famous for the differences that rose between the parson and the squire, who actually lived in a perpetual state of war. So the squire never came to church, and thereby he made all his tenants atheists. But in the case of Roger, he was a true lover of religion. He used to do a lot of jobs for religion. Although he was gentle natured, he had some eccentricities and oddities. Sometimes he used to stand up in the middle of the congregation and start counting the number of people to understand whether any of his tenants missing. He also had the habit of saying Amen 3 or 4 times because of his more concerning of his tenants. Through the nature of Sir Roger and his tenants, and through the incidents happened there, Addison gives us a clear picture of the 18th century churches and tells us how one should, and especially how one should not behave in public places like churches.